NASCAR at Michigan on a Monday. I was fully convinced that Martin Truex Jr. would win this race, especially on a Monday, because he was fast and I saw him get into the lead. I was like, it's going to happen, and then it did not happen, and I felt dumb. But luckily, I did not bet on it. Stay away from sports betting, guys. Don't do it. Now, before we get started, real quick, I want to give a shout out to all the Patreon members. As always, you guys are the best. Thank you guys so much for your support. We're almost at 81,000 subscribers now, which is absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys so much as always. Leave your comments down below if you were able to watch the race. I'm going to try and stay away from race winning spoilers in the thumbnail and in the title, because I know a lot of people either recorded the race because they're working or at school, and so just for this video I'll probably use Corey LaJoie's flip, to be honest. it's a spoiler, but it's not a race winning spoiler, and I already know what I think we're gonna title this video, and so let's talk about that. Yeah, like today, I want to point out, this is not complaining, and this is just me kind of accepting it. I accept it. I've known this for a while, but yeah, NASCAR is full-blown entertainment. They will go towards entertainment as much as they can, because towards the end of this race, you know, it looked very much it was wrapped up. Tyler Reddick was going to win this race, and Truex gets a little bit loose in the middle of 3 and 4. He actually a tire didn't cut down. He just got loose. He hit the wall, and NASCAR within a second threw the yellow flag out and hit the caution button, and there was no debris on the racetrack. There was nothing coming off the wall, like paint or anything, even on the racetrack. Truex did not leave any debris on the racetrack. Nothing was wrong. They just immediately threw the yellow because obviously a caution at that moment was beneficial for NASCAR to get overtime and restarts and stuff like that.
This is a joke? Come on. It's bull. Touch the wall. There's some paint on the racetrack. Good grief.
And that is what they want, you know, and that's what the majority of NASCAR races end up being, is an over. And we'll have it next week as well at Daytona. If you even think for a second Daytona's not going to have an overtime finish or something, you're out of your mind. It's going to happen. It's normal. But you know, it's full blown entertainment. It is what it is. And at this point, I kind of just wish NASCAR would come out and admit it. Like, hey, you know, we prioritize the. I don't even know what to call it. Like, fan. I don't know. I don't know, because it's not fair to the drivers. I felt really bad for Tyler Reddick. I mean, I've seen my driver Jeff Gordon lose races like that, but never as egregious. Like, you know, I feel like even back in the day, you know, when Gordon was racing, I never felt like NASCAR was as quick on the yellows. Maybe that's just nostalgia or, like, you know, memory loss basically, but you know, they're very quick on some of the yellows, and the reason why I say that is because this is multiple times now this year alone that NASCAR have been extremely quick with certain yellow flags. Even in this race, there was a moment where I think it was Joey Logano, AJ, and one other driver, I think it was the 38, who they all blew a tire like at the same time. It was not really a coincidence. I feel like, you know, they were low on air pressures or something. Maybe there was something on the racetrack, but they kind of all blew this a tire at the same time. Logano blows a tire, doesn't hit the wall. 38 blows a tire, goes slow. The 16 blows a tire, and they blow a tire down the straightaway. And NASCAR didn't throw the yellow, because I remember watching it on TV, and the 16 was kind of fighting down on the apron when the caution came out. So the flagman, whatever, they see us, the 16 just spin out down the front straightaway, and it was like not for another 10 seconds that the yellow then came out. I don't know if it was because it was just after green flag pit stops or what was going on, but that's just my point, is that NASCAR clearly have a very clear agenda when it comes to, you know, wanting the race to end in a certain way. If they have the opportunity to do so, they're going to try and push, you know, I don't want to use the word manipulation, but they're going to try and push the race towards that direction. And so, obviously, earlier in the race, they don't really want to throw a yellow in the middle of stage 2 and stuff like that, so they kind of wait, but obviously 3 cars blow a tire. About 20 seconds later, caution comes out. Truex touches the wall, and 1 second later, caution comes out because it's 5 laps to go, and it seems like it's kind of everything just kind of flattened out. So it was going to be a pretty boring finish. Reddick was going to win. And you know what? The thing is, NASCAR, that's okay. I know you want your moments and stuff like that, but you have to let it play out naturally. That is not what they want. So, you know, it's kind of just accepting it, right? You have to accept it. I have to accept it. I am accepting it, that, you know, they will want to do this. And, you know, luckily for Tyler Reddick fans, You guys ended up winning the race. Almost lost it, but throughout the chaos there, Reddick, I think at the end of the day, the Toyotas definitely had the fastest cars. Reddick, Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Ty Gibbs was up there. All of them. They were all very, very fast. Denny Hamlin's day got ruined very early on, actually on Sunday, when he spun out through the grass and it damaged the underbody of his car. Now, he was able to recover and get actually a really good finish out of it, but, his chances for a race win were basically done. And that just goes to show you the difference in the next-gen car. If that was a Gen 6 car, you slide through the grass. The problem with Gen 6 is that the splitter would dig in. With this car, that doesn't happen. But with this car, the actual underbody is so much of the downforce relies on that, on the underbody. And so when you run through the grass like that, you start bouncing, you damage it. And so Hamlin never was going to have the same speed after that. So pretty unfortunate that, you slide through grass and that happens, but hey, none of these racetracks are going to have grass after a while, since when we go to Daytona this weekend, apparently there's literally no grass anymore except for the front straightaway, which makes me, there should be grass in the backstretch, man. Well, why can't people, is the turf really that expensive? I mean, we all say we got to touch grass, but now at NASCAR tracks, there's no grass. Like, oh, I'm just sad, but I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just blabbering on, but let's talk about, the flip. Corey LaJoie decided to flip, and now in the Xfinity race on Saturday there was a flip, and the Cup race on Monday there's a flip, and like I said on Twitter, I genuinely have no worries about driver safety when a car flips anymore, which is quite worrying for me. I feel like that is bad. Like, I'm developing a very bad habit that I see a race car with a human being in it flip at 170 miles per hour and bouncing up and down, and I'm just like, that was cool. I genuinely have, there's not an ounce of worry in my body when I see a race car flip nowadays. That is horrifying. I don't understand why that is happening to me. But it just goes to show, we're going to criticize NASCAR about officiating, but one area that NASCAR has been absolutely fantastic at is driver safety, and that, I feel like that, and even the drivers make moves on the racetrack that are borderline insane and psychopathic, but it's because they feel safe in the race car. There's a lot of things that they can do and get away with, and they will not even get hurt. It's just nuts to me. I know Kyle Busch had a wrist injury from the wheel, but overall, these cars are still the safest cars in the world, in my opinion. But this race car did flip, and so NASCAR is going to go look at that as to why it literally went upside down like that. I mean, everything deployed on the car, it didn't matter. It was a very windy day at Michigan, so maybe that played a part in it, but as Jeff Burton said on the broadcast, it's kind of inexcusable for those cars to flip. In my opinion, I don't know if you really can, we've seen the next-gen car flip multiple times. I know it's, Talladega that we've seen it, or Daytona that we've seen it, but this car at this track is going just as fast. I mean, they're going 205 miles per hour down the front straightaway towards the end of, into turn one. This car has a lot of built-in speed in it. It doesn't have the horsepower that, a 2014 Gen 6 car had, but it still achieves that speed through aero, through downforce, and, the back of the car is a lot lower, so it still achieves really high top-end speed. So when Corey LaJoie, wrecks himself, Noah Gragson didn't do anything. LaJoie just wanted a side draft, and Gragson literally stayed right where he was, and LaJoie just wrecked himself. Let's just say that. He literally just did that. He did the classic NASCAR Heat 2 bubble thing where you hit them in the rear, and instead of them bouncing, you go bouncing, and he immediately flipped like that. And so I don't know if there's a way to stop that. The way that car flipped, it didn't even get fully backwards. It got sideways and it went over. So as soon as it got sideways, you could see the everything flip, not everything, not the car, but the roof flaps, the hood flaps, everything deployed, but the car, there was no chance. And in my opinion, I just don't know if, physics, aerodynamics, when a race car is going 185 miles per hour and you turn it around that quickly, I don't think there's really many safety features you could really apply that's going to keep that car on the ground. It's very difficult. Gen 4, Gen 5, Gen 6, Gen 7, it doesn't matter what gen the car is. I mean, every car does a blowover. The Xfinity car did a blowover. Now, obviously, the Xfinity car on Saturday had a problem with the roof flaps and the hood flaps actually not deploying, so that was a problem there. But both cars ended up flipping. Luckily, both cars are safe. The next gen car, you look at the 7 car that flipped, it doesn't even look like it flipped. I mean, the car looks fine. It's a little bit of damage, yes, but like I said, the structure of these cars, they're tanks, they're incredible, extremely safe, and so on the positive side, NASCAR is a very safe race car. On the negative side, they're going to look back at that and be like, we don't want any more blowovers. But in my opinion, I don't really know how you can stop blowovers. Unfortunately, what NASCAR might do is they're going to be like, oh man, we got to slow down the speeds even more. And if they do that, I'm going to lose my goddamn brain, because it has nothing to do, honestly. Well, okay, yes, it does. If you're going 200 miles per hour versus 150, yeah, you're not going to blow over as quickly. But you don't need to harm your racing product by constantly trying to slow down the cars just in case there are blowovers. I would be so much more worried if Corey LaJoie didn't blow over so let's say he hits Noah Gragson, he slides down to the inside wall, right? And let's say instead of blowing over, he does an Elliott Sadler at Pocono and just goes T-boning towards the inside wall. Elliott Sadler had a fence to deal with. LaJoie would have had safer barriers. But I am much more worried about that type of wreck than a blowover. If you asked me right now, put me in a race car, right, and said, all right, you're gonna go for a ride, buddy. Like, what are you scared of most? All right, we're gonna spin you towards the inside wall. Obviously the speed is going to come down, but starting at 170, turn you towards the inside wall. You're gonna hit that wall head on or at an angle at about 130 miles per hour, something like that, right? I'm much more scared of that than if you told me, all right, we're gonna blow you over and then you're gonna flip like 2 to 3 times. I'd rather take the blowover. That sounds crazy as someone that's never been in a race car, but just based off G-forces and stuff like that, I would be much more scared to hit a wall head on. I feel like hitting the wall head on hurts more. Hitting the wall head on is more dangerous. And in the worst crashes that we've ever seen in NASCAR, we don't really think of the flips. The flips are not what we think of. The flips, or the crashes that we think of, are the head-on hits. Obviously, there's one in the Daytona 500, but even with the COT car, let's think of Jeff Gordon 2008 Las Vegas. That was one of the hardest hits ever recorded, and I think there's rumors that Hendrick Motorsports and Jeff Gordon saw the footage they saw the footage of the onboard once or something, and they destroyed it. Like, one of the hardest hits ever recorded, Jeff Gordon 2008, Jeff Gordon 2006 at Pocono, Jimmy Johnson, I think, at Pocono. What other? Kyle Busch breaking both legs in the Xfinity Series. He's going straight into the inside wall at Daytona. Ryan Blaney multiple times in late race wrecks in the recent years, going boom, head on into the wall at Daytona or Talladega. Those wrecks I fear so much more than a blowover. So that's just my explanation as to why, like, the only thing I don't want NASCAR to do is overreact to a blowover and be like, all right, we got to make this change, slow the cars down here, do this, do that. And I'm like, are you guys thinking about racing at all? Because, to be honest, as long as I'm not hitting a wall head on at 160 miles per hour, it's like, is a blowover really that bad? Nothing's coming apart from the car. Driver is completely safe in the cockpit. I'd be more worried, obviously, if there was like debris coming off of the car. But yeah, I'm just hoping NASCAR doesn't overreact. They do need to look at it, but I don't think it is a cause for like panic, in my opinion. I might be wrong there. Leave your comments down below. Why do I always ramble on in these videos? Like, I'm sorry. I just always ramble on. It's really annoying. I don't want to ramble on. Let's talk about the racing, though. The racing actually, in my opinion, unique. I actually really liked it. These race cars have a lot of drag, so it's a very unique race. There's not really another racetrack, since we don't go to Auto Club anymore, there's not really another racetrack that I think races like Michigan. It's draft heavy. The cars have so much drag. It's not a super speedway race, but it's not a speedway race. I guess the way it could be explained is like, maybe it's if you repaved Las Vegas, it's like Las Vegas but bigger. That's the best way I could probably explain this race. Drafting means a lot, staying out of dirty air means a lot, but Michigan was repaved. What, 2010? I don't even remember when it was repaved. It was repaved a long time ago. They messed up the repave because that was during the era of when they repaved the tracks too well, so the track doesn't age. So it's been over 10 years, definitely, since this repave. And eventually, the racetrack is starting to widen out, which it should never take this many years, but it is starting to widen out. So now you can run a car genuinely in 3 different lanes. You can run the bottom, which is a little bit deep banked and hard to pass. You can run the middle, which is the primary line. You can run the top, not the top, but like the middle, which is technically the 3rd lane, which is you can't run the 4th and you can't run the 5th like you used to. Hopefully one day that will come back, but it'll probably take another 10 years for that to ever come back. So the racing was unique. The racing was fun. I don't really have any complaints about the racing. Again, we know this car has issues, but the drivers put on a really good show with it. Restarts are oh my god, restarts were crazy. Like you think closing rate is crazy at Daytona and Talladega. Closing rate at Michigan. I mean, look at the bumping and banging, the hard hits, because these cars are tanks, so you're just smacking someone when you have, you're going 10 miles per hour faster, bump drafting on restarts, 4 wide, dirty air, just absolute chaos. And big shout out to the drivers for not crashing more than what they did. I thought every single double file restart at this race was just like, Jesus Christ. I mean, the runs, making moves, the dirty air that plays, it was crazy. Very entertaining, a lot of fun, and definitely unique style of racing. And yeah, let's go to the race results. Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Ty Gibbs, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Buescher, Smith, Suarez, Hamlin, and Hocevar in the top 10. The overtime changed it a lot. There was the normal strategy with this new, obviously you could do a 4-tire pit stop in 9.5 seconds. You need a pit for fuel. Pitting for fuel takes longer than pitting for 4 tires. So the strategy was really all about, when you got to pay the fuel tax. I like that saying that NBC says, paying the fuel tax. I like that. That's a very nice phrase. So it was a it was a unique race. It was like Pocono strategy, not as much, but the tires, Goodyear brought a new right side tire. It wore more than what we would see it normally at Michigan. So tires did mean something, which was nice. Like I said, every year Michigan should get a little bit better nowadays. That, hopefully the track wears more and more as the years come on. I never want to see another repave for the next 20 years of my life at this damn racetrack. You got to leave it as is. Let it wear down to as much as you can. Because, the last 10 years have been frustrating with this really smooth pavement. So hopefully this thing keeps wearing down. Hopefully the tire wear comes back. And I think you get really good races and stuff like that. So, yeah, I thought it was a really good race. And last thing we have to touch on is the fact that this race did start on Sunday. Yeah, it's frustrating. Like, I don't talk about this a lot. And I know it's very frustrating for you guys. It's very simple. Like, you could have started the race earlier and try, when you have a racetrack that doesn't have lights, and you are in the summer, really anywhere, like, it's probably the weather's going to be a factor. And, it's really disappointing for race fans to purchase their tickets and spend so much money. And it feels like not everything is being done to get the race in on that day that you pay for. And instead, you have to come back on a Monday where you might have to go back to work or go to school or whatever the instance may be. And that's extremely frustrating because NASCAR will come out and say, we're trying everything we can to get this race in, but we're starting the races at 2:30 or 3 o'clock or 3:30. Like, I'm running Eastern time for all these, obviously. Whereas you really need to look at starting these races, especially during the summer at tracks without lights earlier in the day. Now, it has been over 10 years since 1 p.m. starts. I don't remember when they got rid of 1 p.m. starts, but it's been maybe the TV deal that started in 2015. Before that, maybe they saw some 1 p.m. starts, but ever since then, like the TV broadcasters, they want later starts because apparently it helps with ratings. I don't think there's a big enough difference in ratings to justify the 2 to 3 hours later start time. I really don't. It is not. I feel like you are doing a disservice more to the fans that pay their tickets for the racetrack to go to the racetrack, in favor of a 3 o'clock start time when it really should be a 1 o'clock start time. Would it have made much of a difference? Maybe not. But there have been many instances where people say like, oh, NASCAR's really unlucky with the weather. And I'm like, no, I mean, you are starting races in mid to late afternoon in the summer around America. Like, I've lived in Florida my whole life, all right? It rains almost every afternoon in the summer. And that's just Florida. Like, it's at a certain point, you have to take some responsibility and say, okay, we're not giving ourselves every every chance here to get the race in on time for these race fans. So I would like in the future for, if the thing is, the broadcasters don't give a crap. They pay all this money, right? NASCAR should, and I don't think they can do this anymore because the TV deal is basically done. When they were negotiating the TV deal, they probably should try to put in some sort of clause where if it is a racetrack that does not have lights, okay? If it has lights, fine. You want to start at 3 o'clock, start at 3 o'clock. If it's a racetrack that does not have lights, you need to start, and it's a Sunday afternoon race. You need to start at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Unless you're on the West Coast. If you're on the West Coast, yeah, fine. 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. But you need to start at 1 p.m. Eastern at the latest. 12:30 if you want, even noon if you want. That should have been a rule that has been made. So that way you really do make the effort for the race fans that you're going to try to get the race in on that day. And hey, we don't have lights, so we'll keep trying to get the race in on that day. It has happened so many times now that I feel like you can't. There's the complaint of, oh, we're just unlucky. I feel like you make your own luck. I think you can do something about it. So that's the last thing I want to say. Really about this race. Tyler Reddick leads the regular season playoff points by I think probably like 10 or so points, maybe somewhere against Chase Elliott, since Elliott lost a lot of positions on that final restart. I still think Elliott's going to win the regular season championship just because Toyota is most likely going to struggle at Daytona since they don't have the numbers. So I think Elliott will get stage points and most likely finish well at Daytona. Obviously, it's a crapshoot, so anything can happen, but I would still bank on Elliott gaining a lot of points there and then performing well enough at Darlington to win the regular season championship. Larson still has an outside shot. He wrecked today, with an incident with Bubba Wallace. And so I don't know if Larson's going to win that. But that's the battle for the regular season championship. Denny Hamlin obviously crashed as well, but he finished in 9th. So he didn't get any stage points, but he did get a top 10 result, so he's still in it with a shout as well. But same reason as for Reddick, Toyotas, I don't expect them to get stage points, honestly, at Daytona, just because they're outnumbered. I think Ford and Chevy will outnumber them. And then you have the, the cutoff line, the playoff bubble line, which I'm never that excited for just because, Ross Chastain, Chris Buescher, Ty Gibbs, Bubba Wallace, all these guys I don't necessarily see as, as championship contenders. So it's, it's like, all right, whoever gets in, but honestly, none of you really have a chance to win the championship, which is why I would love to see the amount of drivers cut down to 10 or 12, so that way some actual, really, really top performing teams maybe miss out. That would be really nice. But that cutoff line is still going for the next a few races as well. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. I'm going to go see Monday Night Raw tonight, my first WWE event, so I'll be going tonight to see that. That'll be a lot of fun. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another video, and peace out.